All right, we're already live because I hit the button by mistake, so you should be able to share it right now.
What?
We're already live, so you can go ahead and hit the button and share.
I don't know what you mean. Yeah. This is how we lost the challenger, Britt.
This is exactly how it happened. Hashtag too soon.
Somebody not paying attention to their knitting.
Yeah, they're okay. That's right.
Can't remember if I did the thing on the thing or not. Yeah. Okay. Let's get rid of that. All right. All right, we're here.
We're here.
Brad and BBCast, always anxiously awaited by tens of millions of folks every day. And Britt, it's not like we feel as if we're speaking to those tens of millions. It's a one-on-one conversation.
That's right.
You and I are having with folks who watch us or are listening to us. So good day to you, and hope there's some sunshine in your little life in a way that'll enhance the world.
In your neck of the woods?
Yeah. All right, I need to apologize here to Herschel Walker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
For something said on the previous Brad and BBCast. I intimated that when the initial reports of another woman stepping forward and saying that Herschel Walker made her get an abortion, that because there was no information, at least early on, that he had paid for this one, I made fun of Herschel and said, well, at least he drove her to the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I would like to apologize because it turns out he did pay for this second one.
Well, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
When you make a mistake, you own up to it.
Yeah. This woman alleged that Herschel pressured her into that abortion and paid for it after she became pregnant. They had a 6-year relationship. And this went on while he was married to his first wife. So this one was way before the previous one. The one that we were just talking about the last few weeks, the one that really broke through, was from 2009. And this was from 1993. 1993. My God, Jennifer Flowers was, Paula Jones were still coming after Bill Clinton. That's how long ago that was.
Kurt Cobain was still alive.
Yes. God. He pressured me into having an abortion and personally ensured that it occurred. He did it by driving me to the clinic and paying for it and sitting out in the car while she was inside the clinic. We sat in our car during COVID when we'd take our dog to the vet because, they would just come out and get your dog and treat the dog. And I feel, you know what? That's okay. But if you have to sit out in your car while you're forcing a woman to have an abortion, you got some things to think about.
Well, my fantasies of like some video footage of him leafing through a Sports Illustrated have gone up in smoke. I would hope in the lobby there he was thumbing through a National Geographic or something, but it's not happening.
Right. Oh, he did take her again. Another apology. After it was over, he did take her to the pharmacy to get some prescriptions.
And then a Frosty. What is a good post forced abortion snack? Do you want to take him to Dairy Queen or where do you want to go?
That's got Cracker Barrel written all over it.
Cracker Barrel. How about a biscuit?
That's got Cracker Barrel written all over it. And by the way, remember, this story, of course, means nothing in terms of moving voters in Georgia. You know that at this point. I mean, there could be five. There could be one every day until the election, and it's not going to change people's minds, nor is it going to erode the support by the Republican Party for their disabled candidate, their mentally disabled candidate. So,
well, you know, now that Lindsey Graham is playing the Rosa Parks card with Herschel Walker, you have seen this, right?
No, what is it?
Herschel Walker could be an inspiration to black children everywhere who grow up and say, I can be a conservative just like him, according to his new best bud.
Hold on, stop. He has to have said this 6 weeks ago, 2 months ago.
Well, last night on the Hannity show, maybe. Lindsey Graham, maybe every other young child in America of color might want to be a Republican if Herschel Walker wins. He's Rosa Parks, Brad. He's Martin Luther King Jr. There he is. His truth is marching on.
See, this is the disease.
Yes.
You're seeing the disease right there. When in the world of Trumpism, as predicted beautifully in the past by many great writers, including George Orwell, where you would pervert the language, you know, white is black, up is down, 2 + 2 is 5. What do you do when you have a candidate who's, you know, fully unprepared and unfit and intellectually incapable? And we get to say this because we're on a podcast, mentally disabled.
Yeah.
And not up to the challenge, and incapable of speaking the English language and anything that would even remotely be an example for children out there watching if they're paying attention to the election. And kids are into the elections, Britt, now way more than they used to be.
This is
so what do? You say the opposite of what is true, and you do it with a straight face, and you do it on Fox, and the anchors shake their heads.
They nod along
up and down. They go right along with it.
This is the direct quote from Senator Lindsey Graham from the great state of South Carolina. And what is this all about? Why Herschel? They're beating all of our guys up, but what about this guy? He changes the entire narrative of the left. We're a party of racists, Sean. Me and you are racist. The Republican Party is racist. Well, what happens when the Republican Party elects and nominates Herschel Walker, an African-American, a black Heisman Trophy winner, right? Olympian. It destroys the whole narrative.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay. You know, that's one step beyond the great canard, the great lie, the bullshit line that no one ever said who was a Democrat, but it was hurled at. Well, you got Obama. You finally got one. How come he didn't fix racism? You know, that whole routine.
Because he promised he would. Don't forget, Obama promised he was going to fix racism, and he didn't do it.
I forgot that. Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
He said he was going to fix it, and he didn't do it, Brad.
Yeah. So the Republicans go out and find a guttural illiterate, the most famous guy in Georgia, possibly, maybe the most recognizable figure, certainly among people over the age of, 45?
No, Tyler Perry notwithstanding, sure.
Tyler Perry, okay. Tyler Perry is too smart to get involved in Georgia politics.
That's correct.
That's for sure.
Well, he's too, how do I put this? Because this is, again, we're on a podcast. He's too smart to be led around by a nose ring by white guys who are Republicans, basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. In fact, you don't even have to be on a podcast to say that one. I think you can say that just about anywhere, and it would be true. So
I'll be nice and use the term useful idiot, because that's one that's hurled at the liberals all the time.
Britt, people either don't know or don't remember, or it just isn't part, that his connection to Trump is so insidiously horrible because it started, when Herschel Walker became an early employee of Donald Trump when Trump owned the New Jersey Generals of the United States Football League, and he paid Herschel Walker a ton of money. And at that moment, you had the slave-master relationship.
Mm-hmm.
in its modern form. Oh, yeah, he's a real slave. He's making $1 million. That's not the point. You get the point. And it continued all these years. I don't know whether Herschel Walker ever did a couple years as a greeter at the Taj Mahal Casino in Atlantic City. That's a usual stopping off point for complete morons who can't do anything else with their lives after their sports days are over. And I would extend that out to everyone from Mickey Mantle to Joe Louis to they all did it, right?
Yeah, man.
I don't know whether Herschel Walker ever did that, but when Trump tagged him, put the magic touch on his head a couple years ago and said that he should run, and the rest of the Georgia Republican Party just melted away and said, we can't do any better than this. Okay, if Don, you say Herschel Walker, that's just fine with us.
This proves we're not racist.
Yeah, this proves that we're not racist.
We're going to go ahead and nominate the most illiterate, least qualified, dumbest, most mentally ill, most mentally incompetent human being we can. Look, we're not racist.
And as a bonus,
yeah,
he will exhibit all of the stereotypical dumb, black, strong, muscular, sexually insatiable, animalistic tendencies that white people in the South have used against black people
forever.
How should we say it? Forever? Yeah.
For centuries. I mean, I'll say it again. You can do the turnaround game on this one if you want to. If the Reverend Warnock it had been found out that he had impregnated all of these women and had driven them to get abortions, do you think this story will be covered the same way that it is? Do you think in any way, shape, or form? And then he just lied and said, no, show me the check. And then, okay, here's the check. Well, I didn't know I was writing a check for. I just wrote a check.
Hang on. This is a real interesting exercise because had it been the Democrat, in this case, Reverend Warnock, he would not have been anti-abortion, okay?
Right.
During his life. Not that what Herschel Walker did in terms of making his girlfriends get abortions, that goes on all the time. And it wasn't illegal what he did. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's saying that. Although Republicans should be saying that based on what they want the law to be, to make what Herschel Walker did in the past wholly illegal, because remember, what they want to do is pass those Texas-style laws across the country, state by state, because, of course, it's important that states pass shitty laws. But Lindsey Graham will help you out. He'll come up with a blanket umbrella law for the whole country. But remember, Herschel Walker, by the modern definition of what Texas has done, aided and abetted an abortion. So he's as guilty as the mother who aborted the child, who should be imprisoned, as should the doctor who performed the abortion, who should be in prison, and the nurses on site, and everyone else involved with it. So there would be that slight bit of difference, but obviously that doesn't matter because they're overlooking the hypocrisy,
of course,
of what Herschel Walker did in light
the
of
unsightliness of a guy like Lindsey Graham with his syrupy ass Southern accent. Look at my boy. Can't you see my boy? We ain't racist. Look at my boy. I mean, it's disgusting.
Lindsey Graham wishes he could have impregnated someone so that he could pay for their abortion.
How many abortions have you paid
But that was
for?
not likely to have ever happened.
Yes, Senator Graham. Have you ever sat in the parking lot and flipped through a copy of, I don't know, Playgirl while you were getting somebody in a never mind.
Playgirl. So that's my apology. And sometimes you just...
It's appropriate. You got a little over your skis on that one. I'm glad you pulled it back in.
But by the way, there was another huge apology this morning on TV. I don't know how many people saw it. I don't even know if this made the news or whether it made some of the sites that we look at. But I've never, ever seen Jim Cramer as contrite and upset with himself in a public apology mode as he was today regarding Meta, Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh, wow.
He was just beside himself with how could I have fallen for it? Why was I taken in by him? Why? And of course, what he was really saying was to everyone that went along and owned the stock or went with Zuckerberg and has lost a lot of money. The stock's all-time high was 380 only about 14 months ago. 380. Yeah. It's at 100 today. So back of the envelope estimate, that's about a 75% drop in the value, and it's the largest drop in value of a company ever.
And it's just because there are other platforms like TikTok that have been pulling eyeballs away.
TikTok's cleaned their clock.
Yeah.
oh, that's a good one, sir.
And now I still have a lot of doubts about TikTok. I don't have it on my phone. I see some of the stuff through Reels.
This is not a TikTok thing, though, Britt.
I'm just going to tell you that I think that the permissions and some of the stuff on there is like bad, even based on privacy issues for regular social media.
Oh,
I think the shit they allow is ridiculous.
Oh, I'm not questioning that for a second, but TikTok in and of it has not been the issue here the last year per se. They still made plenty of money, $28 billion last quarter. They're a little light, but not by much.
But the growth, it's the growth.
It's right? The metaverse bullshit. That's all it is. He changed the name of Facebook to Meta. And Mark Zuckerberg, smarter than you and me, said, fuck, I don't care what it takes. I'm going to spend $3, $4, $5, $10 billion. I don't care what it costs. Everyone's going to the metaverse. You go to the metaverse. You go to the metaverse. We're going to all go to the metaverse. And it's going to be the biggest thing ever. And I don't care. Let's hire another 20,000 people. We'll all work on the metaverse together. That's what did it. And at this moment in time, maybe it's changed in the last hour, he is not in the mood to listen to anybody except himself. And the problem with Facebook as a company and as a stock now, people have known this, but you've always been able to overlook it as long as they're doing well and making more money, is he is as close to being President Xi of Facebook.
Wow.
Unquestioned.
Wow.
No one can tell him anything. He is the majority owner of the stock. He's in full control. There is no board of directors to say, Mark, you need to know. So that's always a problem, except when it isn't, when things are going well. But now, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I am not, by the way, for the record, an owner of Facebook stock.
No, but you do own some WWE stock, right?
I do own WWE, which has done quite well the last few months. I'm very proud of that.
Brad bought his stock right after Vince McMahon was ousted. And
since Vince McMahon was canned, the stock is up about 20%. So what does that tell you? That tells you that A, he probably wasn't running it as closely as you might have thought.
Well, I've said this many times. 1987 Vince McMahon was not, I said this about Al Davis. 1986 Al Davis was not 2005 Al Davis.
Right.
Same thing with Vince McMahon. 1984 Vince McMahon was not 2022 Vince McMahon. They were not the same guy.
Right. Right.
And they do have money coming in, by the way. Some of that's going to be blood money from Saudi Arabia. If you want to go ahead and get your Peacock subscription up to date, you can watch that 1 week from Saturday, live from Riyadh. It's blood money live from WWE on Peacock.
Thank you very much. Oh, so when Jared Kushner goes over there and makes a lot of money, you don't say anything. He can do it, right?
Since you mentioned Jim Cramer, some new statistics. It looks like the U.S. economy bouncing back slightly last quarter after shrinking in the first half of the year. It looks like we're on pace right now for a 2.6% GDP. That's the annual growth, not for this quarter. Now, give me just a moment because it's being played in a lot of ways. This is what they said on CNBC at the time. Looks like it doesn't look like we're in a recession. Could be a soft landing. I understand that this doesn't matter to you if you're going to the grocery store to get mayonnaise this afternoon, and the mayonnaise is 40% higher than it was a year ago. I understand that. I understand that if you want to buy a house and you're looking at a mortgage of 7%, whereas 8 months ago, that same mortgage was 2.5 or 3. I understand that this doesn't matter. But this is what I want to say to my fellow Democrats, to my fellow folks on the left. There was a football game a couple of weeks ago in Knoxville, Tennessee, where the Tennessee Volunteers beat the Alabama Crimson Tide. Did you happen to see the final play of that game where the field goal was kicked at the gun, as they used to say, for Tennessee to beat Alabama? Did you see the field goal?
I did.
Was it not one of the ugliest field goals that you've ever seen in your entire life to win a football game?
Yeah, pretty bad.
Did the Tennessee Volunteers and their team go, we're not going to take that? That barely went in. It sucked. Alabama, you win. I'm just saying, as Democrats, let's take the win, right? Let's just take this. This is good news. It's not the best news. It doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Yes, my 401k, my 457 is down 20 whatever percent this year. It's still a win. Let's take the win, Brad. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, it's not so much as that. It's just we're in this world where if the news is shitty, the Republicans shove it up the Democrats' ass. And if the news is good, the Democrats don't know how to exploit it, even if it is the equivalent of an out-of-context remark, okay? Because a one-time 2.6, it really doesn't mean anything, but it would mean a lot more in the negative sense if it was down. Oh, right. My God, it would be 3 quarters in a row, end of the world. This is Joe Biden's economy, right? So the bias is so against the Democrats here because at every debate, and I've watched enough of them, watched ones in North Carolina, I've watched the Pennsylvania debate, I watched the Arizona debate, I've watched all these debates, and not one Republican, none of these politicians or would-be politicians or election-denying politicians who want to be in a position to destroy our country and who are Republicans and for some reason, and I'll get to this in a moment, somehow are getting a pass on that part of their resume. But not one of them has any kind of concrete answer when a moderator at a debate says, what would you do to help cure inflation if you were elected? Which it sounds like it's a simple question, but technically it's a gotcha question because there is no answer to it. Because individual senators have nothing to fucking do with inflation, okay? No. And by the way, while I'm at it, if you do not mind, individual senators have nothing to do with the crime rate in your state or in your neighborhood.
Correct.
So, for instance, where we live, it could be somewhere else if you're not in North Carolina and there's some kind of a Senate race going on. The Democratic candidate in our state for Senate is being pounded for being, quote unquote, soft on crime. Mm-hmm. Okay. She lets rapists out of prison. She's for no cash bail, for all the things, you know the list. It's all over the place. And then again, they put the word liberal up in big red letters the size of the Empire State Building on the screen. Of course, a U.S., you know what? I would almost excuse that kind of bullshit if it was the governor's race. Governors have a little bit more to say about criminal law, criminal statutes, and the direction that a state conducts itself in terms of police power. But she was a U.S. judge. Senators, nothing. But, the only thing is we're going to vote for gun control or against gun. That's about it.
But she was a judge, and she would Uber rapists over to kids' houses.
Right. And so the bias here, the setup in the country is so against Democrats because the language has been perverted. That's and right. It has been pounded for as long as you and I have been alive. This is what they do. It's their lifetime project, the Republicans. And when you're weary, when things are small, when you got nothing to say, Just pull out the old bullshit. Go to the standards. Race bait. Talk about immigration. That's a racial. They're all stand-ins for that at a certain point. And as far as the economics of the country go right now, if a Democrat dares answer what would you do to solve inflation when they're asked at a fucking debate, they're not debates. None of them are debates, but okay. What would you do if the Democrat says, well, individual politicians have no control over the price of bread at the store, nor do we have control over the price of gasoline. In fact, not even a president has that. Right now, the only tool that is available is the interest rates that are hiked or cut by the Federal Reserve, and they take time to take effect. So I pass on the question. You're not allowed to do that, right? You're just not allowed to do that. No. And that is the correct answer. And then all the Republican has to say is, well, if they wouldn't have spent so much, that's why, because there's too much spending. There's too much money in the economy. Right. Did Joe Biden put money into the economy? No. That's a monetary policy that's been going on for a long time. And of course, all the quote unquote out of control spending you're talking about related to the pandemic and trying to save the economy. Who was president when that all started?
Well,
who was it?
Unfortunately,
that was Trump. Oh, wait a minute, Britt. Which president wanted to have his name on every check that went out?
Yeah, right.
So that he would get credit for saving the economy and putting $2,000 in every American's bank account. Which president was that, Britt?
I think that was the stupid fat one who got COVID and did a lap around the hospital to wave to his people.
You're right. But doesn't matter if you say that, right? Facts mean nothing. Facts mean nothing. They do not override the little sticker on a gas pump now that says thanks Biden or whatever.
I do still get a real kick out of trolling people and talking about the money to reopen the Speedway at North Wilkesboro came from Joe Biden and Roy Cooper. People fight that. Oh my God, left and right. Every time I get a chance, so great. They're going to do this at North Wilkesboro. NASCAR's back.
Wait a minute. What is their answer to that?
They're like, no, that's not true. You're fucking lying. And I go, well, it's here. It was the this act. And then
was it in Humpy Wheeler's will?
It was the board of commissioners up in Wilkesboro.
They had 20 million sitting around there, right? And then I guess the meth crop was good this year.
And then I think one guy goes, well, that was just for the pipes for the bathroom and stuff. Motherfucker, if that stuff doesn't work and people can't shit, they can't race there. Jesus Christ, you dumbasses. I love pointing that out every now and again. It's one of my great troll jobs, pointing out how Joe Biden and Roy Cooper are directly responsible for reopening that track.
All right, got a couple more here. Take a run at one of these. How about a nice, warm Confederate flag story?
Sure.
Or another one of Don's children bites the dust and heads to the can.
Oh, boy. Give me the Confederate flag thing first.
All right. Spartanburg County, South Carolina.
Hello.
We have a giant Confederate flag flying along I-85 in Spartanburg County. Fox News did some checking there and found that the Confederate flag is owned by the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Who would have thought? Now, while flying the Confederate flag is not illegal, the leader of Spartanburg County, David Britt, said there is a 1999 land use ordinance that says regulatory access demands that flagpoles be on a property where there is no principal use. Nope, can't do it. Let me read this another way. Regulates accessory uses. Here's the point. You can't just stick a flagpole if you don't have a house or a business, or it's worded badly. It's not that I really can read.
Well, they've been especially sensitive about the Confederate flag ever since Dylan Roof went into a black church and murdered a bunch of people, inspired by,
Right, but this
Confederates.
is this was even before that.
This was, but
the point is, you just can't go stick one somewhere. It's got to be on your own property.
That's what got Nikki Haley to finally take the goddamn thing down in Columbia. Right. Was that murder of those people in that church?
Right. Mr. Britt says a flagpole without a principal, like a house or business, not allowed in Spartanburg County. The Sons of Confederate Veterans have been cited. They have been ticketed, and they have 20 days to either take the flagpole down or get a permit for a principal use of the property. What would that be? Oh, we have Klan meetings every Thursday.
We do.
So I guess there is a use for it, so we can put up a flag. So I want you to just listen to the dripping arrogance and pointlessness of their statement. Oh my God, you won't believe this.
I do love it.
Can you whistle Dixie while I'm doing this?
I'd rather not. I'm good to go now.
All right. Let's see, on the Ken Burns thing. Who did the Southern voice when they would read the letter?
Was that Shelby Foote? Was that the great?
Okay,
Southern, Shelby Foote?
So in Petersburg, Virginia, the July 30th, 1864 pre-dawn stillness was shattered by a massive explosion opening the Union attack upon Confederate defenses. The Battle of the Crater ensued, and by the end of the day, Spartanburg County lost more men in a single day of war than she had ever before. Mm-hmm. That explosion was underneath the 18th and 22nd South Carolina regiments. These units, mostly from the upstate of South Carolina, experienced immediate and devastating losses. At the end of the day, only one man answered the roll call from the 18th South Carolina Infantry Company A, only two from the 22nd South Carolina Infantry Company B, and only three from 22nd South Carolina Company C. Now, remember, this is their answer. This is their answer to you're not supposed to have a fucking flagpole with a Confederate flag on it. The Adam Washington Ballinger Camp 68 of the Sons of Confederate Veterans recently erected a large flagpole on its property along I-85 for the purpose of remembering and honoring those soldiers who answered the call of South Carolina during the war between the states. Remember, it's still the war between the states there, and never returned. More than 250 of them were killed instantly by this one Union offense. Or is it offense? Which is it when the word is
offensive?
There?
It definitely is offensive.
Yeah, but it's an offense. Okay. These soldiers killed in action or missing in action gave their all to their beloved state. We remember and honor them by flying a variety of historical flags under which they fought, including the flag of the state of South Carolina that flew on the pole for the past months. Camp 68 is currently flying the Confederate Naval Jack and will continue to alternate the flags that it flies. The camp looks forward to providing an array of historical flags and hopes that their presence spurs further interest of our citizens in the rich history of Spartanburg County and South Carolina. Now, you'll notice they don't address the fact that they broke the law. They're not in.
Yeah, that doesn't really say
it
anything.
Doesn't matter.
No.
I mean, that actually lines up with, for instance, every time a Trump lawyer writes a response to the Justice Department, what do they always say? They say nothing that is a real defense. They usually just attack.
It's always a diatribe of like, well, we know that the fake news is always attacking and blah, 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 blah. It's never anything that's based in any
their answer to they're not supposed to fly the flag there is, do you know what happened here in 1860? Don't you know that? No, that's not. I didn't ask you that. That wasn't the question.
It's like the woman asked the guy, where were you until 3:00 last night? Do you know when we were married 20 odd years ago, I was the happiest man in the world. And I started crying right there at the altar. Well, that wasn't what I asked you.
And you know what? This is actually it's not directly related, but it's kind of in the same neighborhood. This is the other story. Another one of Don's children bites the dust.
Yeah, let me hear this one.
And heads to the can. This is a federal judge. You've heard her name over the years. Pretty famous up there. Judge Amy Berman Jackson. Today, Thursday, as we speak, just pounding on a convicted Capitol rioter from January 6th, whose name was, I swear this is his name, Albuquerque Head, Head. And she slapped him with a, you ready, 90-month prison sentence. 90 months. It's almost 8 years, I do believe, if my math is correct. This is the guy who was caught on video dragging Officer Michael Fanone, who, you know, he's the all-time stand-up guy in this, right? You see him everywhere, and for good reason. He's a great American, Officer Fanone. But this is the guy who dragged him into the mob where he was beaten by the other Trump supporters. This guy tried to tell the court that he was trying to protect Fanone. You like that one? Is that a good one? You like that? Even though he's on video saying, I got one, when he dragged Fanone into the crowd where they beat the shit out of him. Judge Jackson wasn't buying it. He was your prey. He was your trophy. He was protecting the very essence of democracy, the peaceful transfer of power after a democratic election. He was protecting America. That's who Officer Fanone was. That's what Officer Fanone was doing. You made choices over and over again to go after him and not disengage. Judge Jackson then warned the court that the forces that encouraged Head and his fellow Trump supporters to storm the Capitol were still alive and well. Don't you know it? The dark shadow of tyranny, unfortunately, has not gone away. Some people are directing their vitriol at Officer Fanone and not at the people who summoned the mob in the first place. Who could that be, Britt? Who could that be?
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say.
She then gave Mr. Head, Mr. Albuquerque Head.
Al. Hey, Al.
7.5 years in jail, which we note is the second longest prison sentence yet given out in a January 6th case. Case closed. Boom. See you later, buddy. Woo. Man, I was just trying to protect him, Britt. I was just trying to protect him.
And when he says, I got one, he means I got a hero to protect. That's what he meant to say. That's what he was saying.
You know, you can't be fooled. You cannot be fooled. With that in mind, I want one more thing here, because they found, I think who did, I think Business Insider got a hold of the questionnaire that they used to screen jurors in the Trump Organization trial in New York City. And these are questions that you would think would, try to help ferret out people who would be too prejudiced to give Donald Trump's organization a fair trial. These included, do you have a relative, a close friend, or any experience or interaction with the criminal justice system that would prevent you from being a fair and impartial juror in this case? That seems like a reasonable thing to ask. Or do you have any strong opinions or firmly held beliefs about former President Trump, either positive or negative? Now, of course, if you stop there, everybody has that. But then they say, would that interfere with your ability to be a fair and impartial juror? I mean, to me, that's equivalent to, if a referee in the NFL grew up in Wisconsin and was a Green Bay fan, referee, are you able to referee the Green Bay New England game and give yes, of course I am. I'm a professional. I can put out everything, and we always believe that, right? Well, guess what, Britt? I've found some of the questions that they did not ask the jurors that I think they should have. Would you like to hear them?
Sure. Yeah. If you happen to have those handy, sure. Why not?
I do. Right here.
We're so lucky that you just have those right there.
We do. I mean, those are good. They help. But
yeah.
Can a president declassify any material he wants by, quote, just thinking about it? You see, you have to answer that. Have you ever watched a Stormy Daniels video? A whole video or just a clip, and the clips have to be under 7 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay. I'm told that's kind of an average.
7 minutes and 30 seconds. Is that Free Ride by Edgar Winter? How long is that? 7:30. I don't even know.
Are you or any members of your family proud graduates of Trump University? You need to know that because they might be. Does Donald Trump personally owe you money for something? Anything? Was January 6, 2021, I like this one. Was January 6, 2021, in your opinion, more akin to December 7th, 1941, September 11th, 2001, or July 4th, 1776. I think that would be a big tell, don't you think?
Probably.
You might be. Have you been vaccinated at least once for protection against the ravages of COVID? If not, have you ever referred to COVID as Kung Flu, the China virus, or merely a hoax being used as a cover to control the population?
I had forgotten about the Kung Flu.
And the last one, when you hear the word patriots, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? A, George Washington crossing the Delaware. B, a professional football team. Or C, a heroic storming of the Capitol to stop the peaceful transfer of power by citizens. Those are the questions that I think would guarantee a fair jury for the Trump organization. But, wow. But apparently they already got 7 who passed on Wednesday, so they're on their way. They might already be have the dance card filled out by now. But of course, if they would have asked some of these, it'd be wholly different.
Yeah,
don't you
spoiler alert, if they find him guilty, he's going to say the jury is corrupt. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there. I know it's going to shock you to death.
Wow. Way to go out on a limb.
I know.
How dare you?
It's nuts, but it's a thing that I feel.
Yeah. All right.
That's a good week for us, everybody.
Yeah, I think so. Hey, program note, you can take Tuesday off because we are.
We don't. There's actually been a change in that. We may actually be on Tuesday.
Oh,
so it's still, there's been a little change in the weather on that one. So keep Tuesday in pencil. I'll be giving you some more verification of that probably within the next 24 hours. We should be good to go on Tuesday.
So we're gonna have a full, and of course, at least for me, I believe. Oh, this is the countdown. Exactly 1 month until the most important sporting event of the year, your Ohio State Buckeyes.
Oh, it's huge. Have you bought your Halloween candy for the little kiddies yet?
I did about 2 weeks ago. I bought one at
Costco.
I got it at Aldi.
Aldi
had a good bag.
I got mine at Ollie's, and I had the coupon that they give you, and they had a bunch of stuff there.
And I saw Halloween candy. I shop at all these different stores, and at least at Harris Teeter. My God, what the price!
Oh yeah,
of these. Suddenly now, like the bag with $38, and they go, oh, it's with your VIC card, it's only $26.
Oh well, how about
what
that?
The fuck? What is this? That was the stuff that was $12.99 a year ago.
I think Harris Teeter. I think those guys took a journey inside Publix and went, "Wow, we are underpricing a lot of shit. We need to hike stuff up a little bit."
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it's the Biden Halloween candy price hike.
That's what it is. There's going to be so many kids that will not be able to get type 2 diabetes because they can't have people affording candy for these children.
Right. You get to relate everything.
That's right.
To Biden, no matter what it is. Did you see that he and Kamala Harris are going to be in Philadelphia on Friday? Joint appearance by the two of them. They don't very often appear together. That's in case the pies that are thrown would hit both of them. And
that's right. You want to get equal shot.
Yeah.
Why are they?
They're going there for Fetterman. They're going there for
nice.
Fetterman. And I was looking to see. I haven't seen any brand new post debate polling yet come out. I was looking for it before. The last one was right before the debate. I guess it's completely irrelevant now because the morons could have shifted their. But you know what? 2 days later, Britt, I'm getting more of the feeling that no matter what you were thinking, after you watch it and even the next morning, which is, it was painful to watch.
Well, there was a steady stream of Democrats scared shitless now that they've seen this.
Right.
There was like those
but
stories.
You know what? I think even 24 hours later after that, most people come to their senses and go, wait a minute. We're not electing the debate king.
Correct.
To be a senator. We're electing someone whose main job is to sit at those little wooden desks that are in the chamber there and vote and occasionally make a speech and then go raise money to get reelected. That's all senators do. That's all they can do.
That's correct.
Well, and if you're a Republican, figure out what kind of stupid shit you can say to get on Sean Hannity or Tucker Carlson. That's a little extra thing that you have to do if you're a Republican. And John Fetterman, even not fully recovered from a stroke, can do that. And you know that here we are only at the end of October, so 3-4 months from now he'll be much better. You know what amazes me? How many people I'm listening to and say, number one, I actually had a stroke, or my brother had a stroke, my mother had, and they all are doing fine right now. I was listening to Kara Swisher. She's a great podcast. She's
she is. Yeah, she's
great. She had a stroke. A lot of people have had this happen to them, and they've gone on to do fine and live productive lives. And I just think maybe the initial, oh God, what did we do?
Yeah.
I think if you combine the idea that everything has about a half-life of 2 days in America.
That's correct.
Plus you do get to play the whataboutism game with, well, what the fuck? Who is the most mentally challenged Senate candidate in America right now? It's a contest.
Yeah,
it's
right.
Not John Fetterman. He's not mentally challenged. He just had a stroke and is having a recovery of being able to get his speech back to the way it was. That's all that's happened to him. He doesn't have brain damage.
Damage.
Right. But if you're going to tell me that he is less mentally fit than Herschel Walker, Blake Masters, Ron Johnson, Ted Budd, any of them, I would argue with you.
Sure.
I don't think he is.
Well, they're much more concerned. I mean, in Pennsylvania, they got the big Steelers and Eagles matchup, and of course, the World Series starts on Friday. They're much more concerned about.
I know you didn't watch that debate, but at the end, you ready? Get ready to put your cringe jacket on.
Right.
Ready? Well, we want to end this debate with a little maybe the most important question we're going to ask. This Sunday, the Steelers play the Eagles. Steelers or Eagles? So, of course, Fetterman says Steelers.
Yeah.
And
Oz says Giants because he's from Jersey.
Eagles. says Eagles. I think Smirkanish yesterday when he said, well, yeah, Oz said the Eagles. Now someone just has to get him a map to get to Lincoln Financial Stadium.
There you go. You go to Camden and you're going to take a right. That's what you're going to do there, Doc.
Yeah, that's it. When you're driving on I-95, it's right there to the left if you're driving north.
I heard a guy.
If you're driving south.
I heard a guy from Philadelphia's feelings one time by calling it West Camden one time. That really hurt his feelings.
I'll bet. All right.
We'll see you on Monday.
Who am I going to try to find on my television tonight to watch football?
It's going to be a big matchup tonight. It's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers coming off that embarrassing loss to the Carolina Panthers, taking on the Ravens of Baltimore, Brad.
Oh, okay.
Some of us may have bet that one wrong and taken the Buccaneers +1 first half and +1 for the full game. But we'll see how that turns out.
Let me know how that person does.
Yeah. See you.
Let me know.